Today's review is An American Werewolf in London. And yes, this is VHS. I should probably upgrade to Blu-ray at some point, but what are you going to do? This is one of my favorite horror movies. Just one of the best. Because what I really like, what I'm a big fan of, I am a fan of horror movies as well as comedies. This is such a perfect blend of both humor and horror. Uh, and it's as much a horror movie as it is a comedy. And when I say it's a comedy, I don't mean the type of horror movie where it has something really stupid and stupid gags and stuff like that, where you could say, "Oh, it's a horror comedy." No, I mean it's like a genuine comedy. It's from John Landis, who of course directed the Blues Brothers and Animal House. This is a different kind of animal. This is the infamous tagline of the film informs us. Um, the humor in this movie, I mean, basically, the main character in this movie, played by David Naughton, he pretty much could have been a character from Animal House, and his friend, played by Griffin Dunne. They happen to be so unlucky as to stumble upon uh, this whole plot about werewolves, and as much as they'd like to be in a goofy romantic comedy of sorts, unfortunately, it's a horror movie, and as it goes, people die. But yeah, it's a very funny movie, like great character interaction. The humor generally comes from the characters and their interactions to the situations. Even as they become increasingly horrific, there still is a good sense of humor about it, which I really really liked. And it has a good love story too. About the American who falls in love with the nurse. Florence Nightingale syndrome at its best, people. And so it has tragic notes to it too, which is really rare to find in a movie that is balancing so much. It balances the horror story where it has to work in the elements of a classic werewolf kind of tale, and working in all the rules that we know, that we've picked up from legend and from other movies, and notably the Wolf Man. And the comedic elements, is, nice Jewish kid. He's going to London. He's going to see the sights, maybe see a few girls. Whoops. The slaughtered lamb he comes upon, the pub, and gets attacked by a werewolf. Yeah, so and the fact that it can work in this love story, too, and special effects, really elaborate special effects, makeup effects by Rick Baker, who won the Academy Award for this movie. It's really an incredible achievement when you think about it. And I do think it's actually probably, no, I'd say it is my favorite werewolf movie. I mean, it's a touchy subject to handle. I mean, for whatever reason, I think something like, say, for example, vampires. You can get away with so many different things with vampires, but for whatever reason, werewolves, you do have to follow a certain set of rules. So you will see commonalities between every werewolf movie you see. There are different kind of ways to go about them, different executions that they'll follow, and different themes that they'll take from them. But this one, it's goes a fairly traditional route when it comes to the actual folklore of werewolves and lycanthropism, if that's a word. But what really, really strikes me about this movie, in addition to the makeup effects of this movie, there's the famous transformation scene, of course. Sam Cooke sings Blue Moon. Blue Moon is presented on the soundtrack 3 times. And every single, the joke is every single song on the soundtrack has the word moon in the title. The thing about that scene, and you only see the transformation once, but what they've shown in this movie, unlike any other werewolf movie that I can recall off the top of my head, is just how incredibly painful it must be to have your body transform from a human to a fucking wolf. Like, it's really incredible, and you got to give credit to the makeup effects, which are great. They show the transformation in certain stages, and the sound effects where you can hear like the crunching of the bones, which is really good. And David Naughton's acting, where he really, really sells it. He really, really seems to be in horrible, horrible pain, which is great. And yeah, I mean, like, look at the Lon Chaney Wolfman movies. They're good movies, but you know, you just kind of see, oh, crossfade, boom, he's a werewolf, or like a fucking Twilight or whatever, or no, even not even Twilight. Don't even bring Twilight into this. Let's say, for example, Van Helsing, the Hugh Jackman movie. Boom, he's a werewolf in 2 seconds. Boom, he's a human. You know, when that's scene in the end when the moonlight is coming. Never mind. But yeah, great makeup effects in this movie, not just for the werewolf effects, but with Griffin Dunn playing the best friend. The twist on this story is the best friend is only really the normal best friend for the first act of the movie. For the next 2 acts, he's a decaying corpse who only the main character can see, because obviously he's under the werewolf curse and losing his mind, a little bit of both, but he's just kind of, you know, trying to hang out and talk to him. Meanwhile, he has like rips all over his face. Each time you see him, he's a slight bit more decayed. Really great makeup effects there. Really convincing. In the very last scene where you see Griffin Dunn, he's so decayed that it's just like a puppet where he's like, hello. So it's pretty funny when they're seeing "See You Next Wednesday," which is an in-joke in the John Landis films. But the love interest, Jenny Agutter, a really, really nice touch, because she kind of like, you know, the legitimate actress of the movie, sort of. So they really sell the love story in that, you know, you believe it. Like, even if, let's say this was just this stupid, goofy, sophomoric comedy, you could buy the love story, which, you know, is something that it doesn't get as much credit for as it should. Like, it'll get endless praise for its makeup effects, but not so much the love story, which is a very nice love story. And, you know, spoiler alert, it's a tragic one, because, you know, well, you know how it ends, if you've seen it. If you haven't seen it, you gotta see it. But anyway, this is an incredible achievement of writing, of acting. Kermit the Frog has a cameo. It's an achievement of special makeup effects, of comedy, of horror. It's one of my favorite horror movies, my favorite werewolf movie, just one of my favorite movies in general. Really, really great special movie that I'll, of course, have to revisit every Halloween time, and, you know, other times too, because that good. But yeah, I should probably pick up the Blu-ray or at least DVD at some point, because this has had some city miles on it. But that'll do it for my review today. Thanks for watching.